Hello and welcome to World Talks on TVP World with me, Ashim Kumar. European leaders are intensifying talks on Ukraine's peace and security, with Poland playing a central role in shaping post-war guarantees. Prime Minister Donald Tusk and other officials are coordinating closely with US and European partners on a coalition of the willing to secure Ukraine against future Russian aggression. Joining us is Marcin Zaborowski, TVP World's Europe editor, to break down the latest diplomatic efforts, discuss Poland's influence in the negotiations, and explain how emerging security guarantees could reshape the region. Marcin, welcome back. Thanks for taking the time.
Thank you for having me, Ashim.
Pleasure as always, sir. So this meeting of the Coalition of the Willing, which of course includes Poland, Mark Rutte of NATO, Canada and European countries, has just taken place in Berlin. What really do you see as the major outcomes of that meeting?
I think the major outcome of the Berlin meeting is to have an agreement amongst the Europeans that there will be a sizable contribution to the security guarantees being implemented in case there is a peace agreement between Russia and Ukraine. And each one of these nations who have participated, it's France, Germany, UK, it's also the Netherlands, Denmark, Italy, Finland, couple of our countries, perhaps. I'm not entirely sure at this point in time. That each one of these nations will contribute either vital capabilities, or troops, or air cover, or in the case of Poland, the contribution will be the logistical support and the support command, which will be based in Poland for all the troops arriving, with the purpose of these troops being relocated to Ukraine.
Understood. Now, Poland has been playing this role of logistical hub for Ukraine, with something like 80% of all materiel going through Poland into Ukraine. But now these other countries are talking about maybe putting boots on the ground. Does this in any way undermine Poland's influence on the coalition of the willing?
It makes it a different kind of a contribution, I would say. I mean, Poland's role in the coalition of the willing is absolutely indispensable because of the geography. So it's actually not 80, it's even 90% of support, military support, which goes to Ukraine, goes via Poland. So that cannot be done without Poland. And being in a position where the troops, logistics, support, maintenance, all these kind of things will be located on the territory of Poland means that Poland is an absolutely indispensable member of that coalition. But perhaps indeed somehow there is the perception that because Poland is not contributing troops, then Poland's contribution is not as is not major as the contribution of other countries. I think it's a wrong perception because, like I said, in reality, whether you send 100 troops or you send 2,000 troops even, and even if you just contribute certain capabilities, is not something that this operation cannot live without. But to have a sound logistical maintenance support is absolutely indispensable to any kind of operation you have.
Indeed it is. Now, Prime Minister Tusk, after that meeting in Berlin, has gave a speech, and he made a couple of interesting comments I'd like to get your take on. The first was, and I quote here, sounding very, very optimistic indeed, he said, "Peace is on the horizon. There is no doubt that things have happened that give grounds for hope, that this war can end quite quickly, but it is still a hope far from 100% certain." And he goes on to say, when I say peace, I'm talking about the coming weeks, not the coming months or years. Is this wishful thinking from Prime Minister Tusk?
I think we all would like to hope that that's not the case. That in reality, yes, the peace is somehow near. President Zelenskyy also suggested that until the end of the year, so which means really just a couple of days right now, some kind of major decisions will be reached, and we would be on a path to have a peaceful solution here. But I think that, really the actors which count in this matter, I think Poland is important, but it's not really up to Poland whether there is a peace or there isn't peace. Yeah, in this case, it's really up to two essential actors, meaning Ukraine and Russia, and with the United States, acting as an effective mediator at this point in time between the two. We still have not had a meeting between Ukrainians and Russians. We have a meeting between Russians and the Americans, and then Ukrainians and the Americans, and it's still this kind of a stage whereby it doesn't seem that the solution is actually coming that soon, and is very likely in the coming days.
Well, certainly it would be extremely surprising if that were to happen. But you mentioned the role of the United States. Prime Minister Tusk went on to say something else. He said, the United States has declared its readiness to take part in post-war security guarantees for Ukraine, including the possible deployment of American troops once a peace deal with Russia is reached. Now, President Trump has been quite clear that he'd be very reluctant to put American troops on the ground in Ukraine. Does this statement from Prime Minister Tusk surprise you?
Well, military support does not necessarily mean that there will be boots on the ground. It could mean, for example, air support. It could mean also the support in the necessary strategic enablers, which would be then probably based actually on territory of Poland or somewhere very nearby. To undertake this kind of a operation, the kind of a technological edge that the United States has makes the whole process possible, and we don't have these enablers. I don't mean we in Poland, but we in Europe. So really, conducting this kind of operation is dependent on the full cooperation from the United States, whether that means boots on the ground or not. And indeed, I think it's unlikely that we'll see American boots on the ground in Ukraine.
Well, now you talk about military enablers, that America might provide more of. However, Russia has always been also quite clear that any military involvement by other countries, physically in Ukraine, would be considered an act of war. What do you expect Russia's response to be should America step up its support in this way?
Well, if America is stepping up its role, but it's not really providing troops, and it's kind of operating from behind, is leading from behind. We saw it already many years ago in Libya, for example. Then it's a different kind of contribution, and Russia has been saying for a while that it will not tolerate foreign troops on the territory of Ukraine at all. But then Russian reaction to the 28 point, which came from Mr. Vitkov after meeting with Dmitry Kirilov,
This is a 28
with Kirill
point peace
Dmitriev,
plan, yes? That
28 point plan, which was evidently pro-Russian, that also envisage a presence of maybe not the presence of troops, but the security guarantees for Ukraine. And now there is a kind of a unclarity, lack of clarity whether security guarantees mean some kind of commitment, legal commitment to the defense of Ukraine, or whether it actually means the military presence on the territory of Ukraine. I don't think that Ukrainians would accept a peace agreement without actual, at least tripwire type of capability of NATO troops on its territory.
Right. Yeah, well, lots of grey areas there, Marcin. Unfortunately, we're going to have to end it there. But as always, thank you so much for coming along and sharing your analysis with our audience, and have a happy new year.
Same to you, Oshin.
Thank you.
All the
Bye
best.
now. Cheers. And that brings us to the end of this episode of World Talks. Don't go away, lots more coming up. Goodbye.